Okay, so I think we should be live on YouTube. And yeah, we are back after a long break. So, hi all, welcome to episode 17 of the Gameweek Navigators. I'm Aditya, and as usual, I have Leon and Sankar. We'll be talking all things Gameweek 5 and looking at possibly wildcard because a lot of things have been floating around regarding why you need to wildcard in Gameweek 5, or if not, then when. So, let's straight away jump to our talking points. So there was as usual with the transfer trends. Then we'll look at Game Week 5 fixtures. Then we'll look at wildcard. We have two drafts. That's Leon and Sankar have both created drafts. Then we'll look at dilemmas for this week and in general for the long run. Look at captaincy and our first team. So before we go to the transfer trends, I want to know how was Game Week 4 guys for y'all. I had a red arrow despite being 3 points clear of the average. So how did it go for you guys?
I had a red arrow as well. I think I had two consecutive red arrows now in Gate Week 3 and 4, but not panicking now because it's still early days. So we just not wildcarding as well. So we just see how we can adapt. Maybe I'm not doing any transfer as well this game week. So just trusting the players that I have from the early and see how it goes.
I don't remember whether it was a red arrow or a green arrow. That's how long international break has been for me. Last few weeks has been so busy, so busy. But I think it was a small green arrow. I like the score. I got 7-6 and 7 points. So uh, like the entire idea of it. I like having high scores, which might not push my rank compared to low scores, which even pushes your rank. Right? So it's a psychology thing. I really like looking at 70 plus scores. I don't care even if it's below average. I want my scores to be above 70. It gives me something, to smile about. So that way it was good, and it was a good long break as well. Right, catching up on life as usual before going back headlong into FPL. Again, not triggering wildcard, but really interested by the possibility of wildcard. And I think it was a good exercise that both Leon and I did, right? Even if we don't wildcard today, just to see if you're going to wildcard, how the team is going to look, what are the things, what are the risks that you are going to take with your team, right? Where are you going to be a bit more optimistic? Where are you going to be a bit more pessimistic? So, I feel the entire exercise of wildcard is a good exercise to have, especially after international break, just for you to get back into FPL as well.
Yes, so I can see Brendan in the chat saying, "Hi guys, great to be after the interest break." Yes, we are also very happy to be back. It was a much needed break as well, but now we're looking forward to the next run of games. So, with that being said, let's just quickly look at the transfer trends because some of the transfer outs are kind of making us question: is it really necessary or not? So let's look at the transfer ins. Obviously, Hyun Minson after the hat trick is ranked first, followed by Madison. I think he just scored a goal. Alvarez, I think, scored 14 points. Romero and I think Ferguson may not play this game against United, so we don't know about that. So these are the transfer ins and transfer outs. We have Jackson. I think people finally are starting to lose patience, but I think we'll see who ends up keeping him. Isaac, João Pedro, Botman, and Visa. So there are two Newcastle players. So I think I leave it to Leon to answer whether it's the right move or wrong.
Yeah, so regarding Newcastle players, actually, we are not really sure about the fitness of Botman, despite him being red currently. So we have to wait for Eddie Howe's press conference. I think they previously mentioned that he'll be fine for this game. So if he is, then I don't think it's the time to transfer him out yet. Since we have good fixtures coming up, I think we'll look at fixtures later for Newcastle, also for Isaac as well. Not sure why they do that, and for me, we'll talk about Jackson a bit later because I think two of three of us actually own Jackson, so not sure if it's the right move as well with Chelsea having some good fixtures coming up. And also worth mentioning is actually Alvarez actually played in Bolivia, away to Bolivia in a very tough stadium, as we know, with the high altitudes. So there are some news saying that he might not start the next game. So the people that buy him
Interesting.
might want to think about it. And also in terms of Son and Madison, of course, it's a the popular transfer with Spurs facing Sheffield United at home this game week, but not sure if it's a good long-term move because they have after Sheffield United they have a few tough games as well. So whether it's a knee-jerk move that people make after Son's hat trick or it's really a good move, we'll talk about that a bit later as well. Yeah.
Yes, so I think we're on transfer trends. So let's just quickly brush up and look at game week 5 fixtures. Then we'll go on to wildcard and the dilemmas. So these are the fixtures that we have for game week 5. There are a few good games, interesting games like Spurs Sheffield, as we said, West Ham Man City, Wolves Liverpool, and we have Arsenal, right? Everton Arsenal. So I think there was some interesting thing that I think all over the field put it that since Wenger had left, I think Arsenal have not won a game at Goodison Park. Even I was shocked when I read that. I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah, I mean, at least I was aware of it that we have not been winning there for the last few years. And there are a lot of news initially about Saka's, injury being managed, minutes being managed, and that it's one of the reasons that I was telling everyone, hey, don't worry about Saka's minutes. We don't win there, so I'm pretty sure Arteta is going to start Saka at the very minimum.
I think another thing, important thing that we need to note is that from now on, European games will start. That's the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. So the headache of rotations will begin, and the leanness is going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
The players that we pick. So that's another thing that all of us need to keep an eye on.
Okay, and that's perhaps one of the reasons I'm not very keen on jumping into a wild card because today we don't know what is going to happen, right? How the teams are going to shape up, both for Champions League as well as Europa matches. For example, tomorrow, if I see that Klopp is very much interested in starting Nunes in the Europa matches rather than the Premier League fixtures, it's a different decision altogether, right? So there are still quite a bit of variables, and it would make sense for us to maybe see out those couple of weeks of initial Champions League fixtures before you jump into that wild card because that gives you more information. For example, I think Newcastle, a lot of people are still speculating whether Isaac starts in Champions League matches or Wilson. I am praying it's Wilson because I have Isaac. I got him like just in game week 3, I think, with a hit. So I'm not selling him yet. But at the same time, these are crucial information for us to pick up on before we start triggering those wild cards.
Yeah, and also just one thing to add, when I look at the fixtures, actually you see the last match is Forest against Burnley. So I think by that time we already maybe played 10 or 11 of our players. So usually we will end the game week with a big game, but this is an unusual game week. We have to wait until Tuesday to see what happens. So yeah, other than that, I think we have lots of big games this game week to look forward to. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. How are you
So
guys feeling from a Premier, FPL point of view? Have you guys settled in with your teams? What's the overall sense so far?
I think patience is again an important factor here at this point. Um, 4 game weeks was good enough for us to judge in the terms of which teams are the one to target and the players to pick. But obviously now you had an international break, right? So that's gone out of the window, and the next phase of games will help us, pick. So again, form comes into the picture, irrespective of what the game is. Like for example, as we were saying, like at Spurs have the Spurs. I think post Sheffield they play, I think Arsenal and Liverpool, two tough games. But the way Spurs have been playing so far, you wouldn't label it as tough games, right? You would label as games where their attacking players could get some returns. So now that you've got enough information of teams the way they've played, I think you'll be able to make proper judgments. But patience is very important. So that's why even I'm not that inclined towards a game week 5 wildcard because another 3-4 odd games plus the European games again will give us better answers.
Yeah, yeah. Leon, how about you?
Yeah, I think one of the game that we missed out on discussing is West Ham against City, because due to their good form, actually people are bringing in a lot of West Ham players. Like maybe we're considering Bowen, Ward-Prowse. So it is maybe their first major test this season. So it's very interesting to see how they can approach this game against Man City, especially at home, and also whether they can. Make City lose points for the first time this season. So if you want me to pick the game of the week, for me, it'll be West Ham. And how do I approach the game for now? Again, like I mentioned earlier, it's a wait and see for me. I'm still gathering information on what is different from the way of the team play from this season comparing to last season, and how the players play in different positions. And for example, Martinelli, what is the difference that that we'll mention later on what are the whether this player they did well last season. Should we look at the past record, or should we look at the form in the first four games, which are just a small sample size? Yeah, all those are we have to take in consideration on how we pick our players for the next few game weeks.
True, true. I mean, I'm fairly uncomfortable currently, to be honest, with my entire assessment of where teams are lie. Right. I mean, Spurs are good. Spurs are attacking pretty well compared to last season. I think it's a complete change. At the same time, they have not exactly played really tough games from a defensive point of view. Right. So I would like to see how they play Arsenal away. I would like to see how they play Liverpool, and even though Liverpool have not been great defensively, right? Just for us to get a bit more information. Similarly, I want to see whether United will start gelling. Right. So far, it has been more of a hit and a miss. Right. And a lot of people are on Rashford, Bruno. I managed to sell both of them now, and I'm being asked by United fans to worry that I don't have Rashford attacking the Brighton fullbacks. Right. So Arsenal have not looked really, really good from attacking point of view. While we are getting the points more or less, it's an attack that is still struggling to gel in with the new additions that have come in. Right, so a lot of variables, and even City, to be honest, have not looked really, really good. Right, there are a couple of matches which I think they left it pretty late to win those matches. And like you said, West Ham might go into this match thinking they have something. There is some possibility for them to pick up points, right? So, lot of information which is in flux for me, and I'm pretty uncomfortable because I feel getting into game week 5 by now you should start making those moves comfortably, but I'm not. I think there's a lot more for the game to see. And to add to all of this, I think we have the 110-minute nonsense coming up, which is cleaning out all our clean sheets. I was checking some podcast where they said, I think this is the lowest clean sheet they have seen in the first four game weeks over the last 5, 6 seasons, which makes sense as well, given the amount of time this matches are going on.
I think now probably we'll see a lot of teams subbing in players. I mean, the teams that are playing midweek in European competitions. So we'll see the first choice players getting subbed off more earlier. We used to generally see maybe 75, 80-minute mark being now close to 70-minute mark. So, I mean, that's also going to play a lot of role. And obviously, as you said, clean sheet wiping out and all those things. Yes, it's getting kind of annoying. 110 minutes, like it goes to 55 odd minutes. The first half labeled of 45 minutes goes to 55 minutes, and it doesn't make sense. You rewind the clock back to 45 again for the second half. So, anyways, that's enough of moaning that we're doing. And I see a question there about Newcastle, Fabian, Sher, and Wilson. I think we'll talk about Newcastle a little later. So I think with that being said, let's move on to wildcard because that will allow us to cover players in depth. So this is Leon's wildcard draft. So Leon, what I want you to do is to go position wise, in brief, the players you have picked and who would be the alternate choices if not.
Yeah, so before I go to my wildcard team, actually, I just want to reply to Sankap regarding the clean sheet. Is actually I did a study, a short study from the past 10 seasons, and found that indeed this season is by far the lowest percentage of clean sheet for the first 4 game weeks. I think we have just 14% of the teams that actually kept a clean sheet. And I think if you look back to the point where Premier League actually started, I think this is also the season where we have the lowest clean sheet as well. Also, I think one of the main factors is, of course, you mentioned just now of the extended time played. So, having said that, we'll go to our wildcard. So, this is actually quite related to the low clean sheet. So, which is why I mentioned that I won't spend a lot on big at the back. So, in terms of keeper and also defenders, I actually try to spend as minimum as possible, and also focusing on bringing in defenders that actually have attacking potentials as well. So we look at the keeper, of course, the cheapest playing keeper right now that's quite new is Ariola, because Turner he has some competition right now, so we'll go with Ariola. And then if you look into the fixtures as well, Fulham has 4 or 5 good fixtures coming up, so he's at 4.6 million. So I'll go with Leno with a lot of potential for making big saves, because Fulham concede a lot of shots. And in terms of defense, I've gone with Cash and Udogi with both 4.7 million right now. Both are very attacking and play in with very attacking highline teams like Spurs and Villa. And for Bayer, of course, I have him, and I won't remove him. If even if I don't have him, he's one of the most nailed 4.0 defender right now, and he has a double game week coming up and double game week 7. And also Colville is the cheapest way into Chelsea's defense with good fixtures coming up, and also Botman, of course, I've mentioned just now with good Newcastle fixtures coming up. I'm just not sure whether he's fit to start the next game, so we have to look at the next press conference. And for the midfield five, not necessarily I want to go with players with red hot form. Of course, we have players like Sterling and Madison with a good start to the season, and good Sterling has good fixtures. Madison playing Sheffield United next, and also he's quite fixture proof the way of Spurs playing right now. So I have Sterling and Madison, and Rashford and Saka are not really hitting a red hot form starting the season, but they are doing quite okay with some returns, and Rashford slowly getting to form. So I think those are two players that I would keep long term. And you notice here that I have 3 Villa players, Cash, DRB, and also Watkins as striker, because looking at Villa's fixtures coming up, they have real good fixtures in the next 5 and 6 game week, and I believe that they can score a lot of goals. So DRB and yeah, they have Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Brighton, which Chelsea and Brighton they actually concede a lot, and we have next Wolves, West Ham, Luton, Forest, Fulham, all those teams I believe Villa can score a lot against. So yeah, we'll go back to my team. Yeah, so I think that the combination of DRB and Watkins look really dangerous right now, and I really want them both into my team. So if I the only dilemma I have here is whether I want to choose DRB or Son, because I can afford Son actually if I remove DRB, because in this lineup I maybe have 2.6 million in the bank. So yeah, if I have Son, then I'll have triple Spurs. If I have DRB, then I'll have triple Villa. But right now, due to Villa's better fixtures, I will have 3 Villa players, and of course Haaland. And then, yeah, the popular pick right now on Twitter is Morris, because of his double game week and also his cheap price. So this is the summary of my wildcard draft if I decide to wildcard now, but most likely not.
Very, very interesting. I see triple Villa here. So even, generally, when you try to wildcard, is obviously you'll try to attack the fixtures because you are looking to take the upper end advantage by wildcarding. Compared to the others who may not. So fairly understandable, but also, Bayer and Morris make sense for double game week. Newcastle fixtures swing is there. Chelsea fixtures are favorable, but you're not getting consistent returns from a few players. I think Spurs have looked good. Haaland, no brainer. The only place is that the double Villa attack. I know I can understand, but maybe why not a Liverpool attacker? Why not get a player from another team, right? Just I'm just throwing up. I think We can go to Sankalp's draft. I think there is a Liverpool player in that. I'm not sure. I've not seen, so I'm just going to go to that. There is, so I'll let him to the top.
Yeah, there is one. Like you said, I think the entire point of me, if I jump today into a wild card, it will be to create enough differentials with respect to the current team that I have, as well as to people around me. Right, that's the entire idea for me, and that's the reason I have a double Newcastle defense. I have Pope and Trippier. I can take money out, make Trippier someone like Ska, but the entire idea for me is the goalkeeper slot is just too worrisome currently. Right, almost no one is giving you points. So if I can bring in a goalkeeper who stands out tremendously, then that will be a strong. And that's the reason I have gone for a double up. I can do double Newcastle defenders, but I want to have that one goalkeeper who might give me a strong edge compared to others, right? And that's where I have Pope and Trippier currently. Estupinian I'm keeping. He for me is almost a Chilwell equivalent now, primarily also because it's not about the positions, it's the quality of positions. Chilwell mostly one he is getting subbed 60 62nd minute, and then on top of it, it seems he's always the only person holding that width on the wing, which is not exactly the best case scenario compared to Estupinian, who's always attacking in pairs. Right. So if you have Mitoma who's entering the box, you will see Estupinian somewhere in and around him, always trying to give another option to Mitoma. And while Mitoma does not take that option a lot more times, but I like the fact that Estupinian is available alongside Mitoma. So fixtures might not be favorable, but I like the fact that because there are no clean sheets in the game, I can continue going in with an attacking fullback, right? Then Cass I already had, so I'll continue playing him. On top of it, I'll trade up another defender to a City defender and hope that City start cashing in on the clean sheets. And I've gone for Tavares as my 4 million defender because I really like Tavares as an attacking fullback, and I think Nottingham Forest have looked pretty decent at the back, and he's my Turner trade up, you might say. So in case Turner loses out on his position, I get someone like Tavares. Going into the middle, I cannot sell Mbuemo. He's just turning out to be too magical to be true, right? And I don't want to sell Saka. I feel he's a consistent asset. And again, being an Arsenal fan, I have a bit of a bias. I already had Madison. I think with a wild card, I would definitely bring in Sun. And just to balance the money, I have brought in Gibbs White. It's not like Gibbs White is a top choice for me, but in that less than 6 million bracket, I feel he's a pretty decent uh, person to go with because he looks fairly attacking. If I did not have money problems, I would have ideally gone for Thyroid. But given the way we are shaping up our forward assets, I think I'm going for Gibbs White currently. Midfield, I've gone for Darwin Nunes as my Liverpool alternative because I feel there's a swing and I need to capture it somehow. There are reports that Nunes uh, is not practicing or in the training. In case he's not, then I'll trade it down slightly to Nico Jackson, and I'll keep the money and I'll move into Darwin. I think the game week after or the one after, within the next 2 game weeks. Morris have gone fairly to give us that additional double game week slot, but I don't want to go more than one slot. I don't trust these players that much. And obviously, Haaland remains Haaland. That's the entire idea of my wildcard today.
The interesting fact is the contrast between both the drafts, right? Like, like there is like a there is proper contrast. There is a double Newcastle defense. You're banking more, I mean, on Forest place. I mean, just as fillers, but you have more Forest players here. You have a Liverpool player, double Spurs. I mean, that Leon could also get in Sun for, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Like, who was the player that you Diaby? I think that's what you were saying. So, I mean, there is like a nice difference. So, those who want to attack can go this way. Those who want to play the template can go the other way. But yeah, Gibbs White and all. I mean, you could potentially cut down, right? So basically, the fifth midfielder and the third striker are. more or less not going to play. Or if you play a 3-5-2, then your third striker won't play if you play 3-4-3. So I think,
I
um,
think idea with Morris is just for that one game week we are going to play him, right? And then we are going to bench him out or transfer him out to another further forward. So Morris is for me only for that move. Apart from that, I think Nottingham Forest have two good fixtures. I'm going to attack those two fixtures and then bench perhaps those players. Gibbs-White is a decent player, but I would love to see if I can get in some money and upgrade him to Diaby. So that's also one place because I really like Diaby as a pick. I think he's coming out as a really good alternative to Watkins. I'll not double up, but I would rather go with someone like Diaby, who's I think got a good sense for goals compared to Watkins, who's perhaps playing into him rather than taking those chances.
yes. I think I just have one suggestion instead of Gibbs White. I don't want to get the United bias. So Man United are currently completely all the wrong things are going on half the time. So again, another unwanted attention is going on with regards to two players. So because of this current situation, I think for 4.9, I think you have Garnacho as now more or less a viable option, very viable option because the two players that have been discussed at the moment are more or less out. So you're going to have Rashford, Hoyland, and question mark. So it's more or less Garnacho is going to play or Bruno goes in and all. I don't see that happening.
I
So
like
if anybody,
Pellistri as well. I don't know whether he becomes an option, but if he does, I think he has got some good assist potential.
yeah, he naturally looks better, obviously on the right wing, but if we don't know what he might do. So just throwing out those fifth midfield option because this current draft doesn't have any United coverage, and if you are looking to get in someone not of the likes of Rashford and Bruno and all,
Yeah,
then it's just for that. I mean, my
makes
bias will
sense.
speak, but just differentiate. I think we're done with wildcard. So we did get one question regarding wildcard. I think so. It was Ozzy who had posted his draft. So he had Flecken and Turner in goal, Udogie, Chilwell, Cash, Gusto and Estupinian in defense, Hugminson, Madison, Saka, Embuemo, Foden in midfield, and Alvarez, Haaland, and Jackson. It's not up on the screen, but I'm just reading it out. So, what do you guys think of this draft?
Yeah, I think it's a very strong draft. Just one concern is regarding Gusto because we heard that James actually is training right now. Not sure whether he'll be back. How many minutes that he'll actually play before he gets injured again. So other than that, I think Flecken is a very good goalkeeper pick. Which is someone that I really considered as well, because like Raya last season, he actually have lots of saves, and Brentford is quite strong defensively as well. So yeah, I think overall it's a very good wildcard. Just that interesting to see that he actually decided to trust Jackson in his wildcard, even though Jackson is misfiring so far. So I think it's a good move to trust Jackson. If I'm him, I'll have Jackson in my team as well, uh, to see how he continues to adapt to the Premier League.
I'm not sure with his goalkeeping choices, right? Because Athletic is now reporting that it might be Turner's place to lose. Right? So if I'm on a wild card, I would rather move out of Turner. And same with Flecken. I'm not sure whether the fixtures are completely now buying into a Brentford clean sheet. Other than that, I like the fact that he's on a City triple attack. Haaland, Alvarez, as well as Foden. I like the fact that he's on a Sun Madison combo, which is something similar that I would have liked to do. Even Udogi, I think, is a great way, though I'm not very sure, but it's a decent punt. It's just that those other positions, for example, Nico, can you go for someone else? Right? Maybe not immediately, maybe you do it after a week or two. Right? But overall, I find it's a good draft. It's just the goalkeeper choices that I would like to change.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say three changes. Goalkeepers, I completely agree. I think Areola and Leno is a good pair for
Yeah,
value.
yeah.
The one, and I might, if I was in this place, I would remove Gusto out for maybe Amari Bell or Bayer, someone who has a double game week and is also priced for, just to have a coverage just for that week. So that's the only thing that I would do. Mm, I guess we're done with wildcard, right? Any other things that we you guys want to discuss before we move on to the dilemmas?
No, I think one thing we have realized is if you're on a wild card, you would ideally double up on Spurs attack. That feels like the logical thing to do in a way to attack, and perhaps get in a bit stronger on the Newcastle defense. Right. Other than that, I don't see a lot of differentials standing out. Strong differentials, which can really make your team stand out compared to the current template choices.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to add about wildcard is actually sometimes people wildcard early, right away before the international break because they want to maybe possibly get
Seven.
some profits from it, maybe just a zero point 0.2 rise. But so far we haven't seen any zero point 0.2 price rise yet so far, and it hasn't happened a lot in the past few seasons. If you look at the statistic, actually we just have around three or four rises. So I don't think it's worth doing it just to gain the profits. So it's an advice to everyone. If you want to wildcard, it's because you really want to do it, not because you want to get the profit for your team.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, then so let's go on to the next one. That's the dilemmas for this week. So the first one is, can we expect Darwin Nunes to finally deliver on his potential?
Sun should answer that because he has planned to bring in
Yeah.
Nunes.
Yeah, I think things are looking better. He does look a bit more settled into the team. But again, what we heard from Bielsa was he did get into the international break with a few muscle injuries, and he's not yet trained. So today, if you don't have Nunes, I'll not advise you to get him in. But overall, I feel he will do better in his second season compared to the first one. It's just the idea that when Klopp says things like, "Hey, that this guy has to track back more, has to put in a bit more defensive work," right? So he has very clearly told his expectation to the player. It's just about the fact whether he can start doing it regularly, right? With Nunes, he's always going to be a bit of flip-flop striker, right? In terms of minutes, primarily, there might be game weeks he'll start, there might be game weeks he'll not, and this is something that you have to accept going into uh, getting into the player. The good thing is none of the second strikers are signing out, right? And that's the reason I feel, especially when fixtures are aligning, you can go with this as a punt. In general, I do feel he will deliver, but at the same time, I do feel he will also take out some of the attractiveness that we have for the likes of Salah, etc. Right? So today, if Nunes starts delivering, it also means that the Mo Salah draft almost gets dead. So something to keep in our mind as well.
Yep. Actually, I look at some underlying stats on Nunes comparing this season with last season. So we use the XGI per 90 minutes because, as we know, his minutes is not stable even on this season. So we look at last season, his XGI per 90 is just 0.78 per 90 minutes, and his goal conversion rate is just 10.10 11% out of the shots conversion. So it's really low, and he really missed a lot of chances last season. But this season is he has improved it with increased to 1.28 XGI per 90 minutes, which is quite a significant improvement. And also his goal conversion rate, even though it's a small sample size, actually increased to 22% from the 10% last season. So I think he's slowly adapting more to the Premier League, and he's becoming more clinical as well. So I think he can be a choice, but as you say just now, we are not sure about his fitness, even though he on eye test wise, he really impresses. Even though, even if we watch the match against in the international friendly for Uruguay, he actually have a lot of good moves, get dangerous positions, and just the problem right now is whether rotation wise, whether he can start ahead of Jota and Gakpo. So we're not sure about that, and we'll have to. I think for me, it's we have to keep observing for that. I won't really jump into buying him right away this game week.
Yes, I agree. Wait and watch in one word, or no, two words. Wait and watch. If you count it,
Three.
then three. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to the next one. As double game week 7 approaches, should we consider getting in Luton or Burnley players, or perhaps Norris? I think with the two drafts, we made it very clear, right? The 4 million defenders from both the teams lock. If you have, I think most of us will have one of the 4 million defenders. And then Morris, if you can plan a move for him, not like necessarily. I mean, those who are not wildcarding, I think the two free transfers when you're nearing game week 7, I think should be enough for you to just cross that particular week. Any other players that you guys are looking at from these two teams?
Yeah, actually, I have one player that quite a lot of players, quite a lot of managers actually overlook, which is Lau Foster from Burnley. So far he has is the highest scorer for Burnley with 15 points. Actually, the same points as what Morris has now, and he has two goals. Initially, we thought he won't be playing as forward as we expected, but actually his Burnley is actually fielding two strikers. The way they play in the past two games, and also he's 0.5 million cheaper than Morris. Is just 5 million. And minutes wise, so far he has started all three games. He has more minutes than the other striker of Burnley, which is Amdouni. So far he has 259 minutes against 200 minutes of Amdouni, and also he has quite better XGI compared to Amdouni with 0.91. So apparently, the new signing of Burnley, Amdouni, don't really settle that well in Premier League right now, and the main focus of their attack is on Foster. However, the cons of buying Foster is that they have really tough fixtures coming up. In the next 5 games, they have United, they have Newcastle, they have Chelsea, and also he don't really have a good record in Championship. As we know, he joined Burnley last season in January transfer window, only made 11 appearances and only scored one goal. So we don't really know that his good start to the season is it sustainable or not. So it's a gamble again, but it's a player that worth noting for in Lau Foster. Anything you want to recommend, Sankap, other than Morris? Of course. Are you getting Morris this game week?
I'm not getting him so far. I mean, I'll decide only on the double game week where what to do. Game week 7 is when I'll take a call. Who do I bring in? Uh, I like Foster Shout. I like Amdoni Shout as well, even though we have seen very little of him. And what you said is true. He's yet to settle down. But to me, he comes out as the higher ceiling player. So if he clicks, he's the guy who will give you more points, is what I'm thinking. And that's the reason these two game weeks will be good for us to keep an eye out. I'm very comfortable picking up someone from Burnley rather than Luton because I do feel Burnley as an attack have a higher quality about them. Uh, while at the same time, I think one of the fixtures is Newcastle away. And so it's very tricky because at one point of time you are also thinking, hey, let me take a double Newcastle defense and they are going to give me clean sheets. At the same time, you're thinking, hey, Burnley striker will break that clean sheet, right? So very difficult to believe both. But at the same time, I'm open to it. I feel that third striker slot is the only slot where I will go in for one of these players, and I'm going to use these two game weeks to decide who's that guy going to be.
Okay, so we've thrown out a few names here. So let's see what happens maybe the next few weeks. We'll get a proper answer. Next one will go. That is Son Heung-min now a must-have asset, especially given his likely central role.
Have you guys got him in?
No,
No, okay. I thought I'll be the only guy doing this. Okay, so it's three of us who have not got him in. So clearly, we don't believe he's a must-have asset. He is a tremendous FPL player and yeah, Premier League player as well as I think from FPL asset point of view, he's been really good for us last few seasons. But at the same time, is the fact that you have just seen him do well over this one game week, right? Which and a game week where everything favored him. That's the more important thing, right? Burnley are open. Burnley played into Sun's hands. Sheffield are not going to do that. They will have a triple defender, three centre backs at the back, and I have a feeling that this kind of match will favor that other midfielder who runs in, be it Sar, be it Madison, some guy who's going to run in while Sun is being marked out heavily by the centre back, right? So that's the reason I don't think he's a must-have asset today, but I'm more than happy to be wrong tomorrow and then get him even before the Arsenal match. So if tomorrow, say, Sun scores a brace against Sheffield, I'm going to get him, in front of the Arsenal match because I feel Arsenal do concede one odd goal at least every home game. Right? So but I want to see one more match, get more information because we have enough of midfielders, a lot of choices. Any player that I sell today is going to be a good player that I sell. For example, I have to sell Foden, Martinelli, Saka, one of these guys, right? So all of these are good choices. I want to sell before I feel I've seen enough.
Yeah, for me, my opinion is same as Sankap. I really want Son, but the only thing that stopped me from getting him is because there are so many good choices of midfielders right now, and we really believe that the five that we have right now can really do well at least in this game week. So we'll hold on that move. But having said that, if you look at the stats again, in game week 1 to 3 when Son played on the wing, if you total up game week 1 to 3, he only have 0.99 XGI, which is not a lot. But in game week 4 alone itself, you have 1.19 XGI. So if he can continue to play in the central striker role, which I think he will, because Richarlison, obviously he has some problem, and I think he's going to see some counselor when he returns to Spurs due to his mental issue. And also we have Brandon Johnson, who recently just arrive at Spurs. So we have another creator that can play on the wing. So Son do not need to play there, and we can see that in the past season, if he play as a more of a finisher rather than a creator, he usually does well. In the past season, he has Kane who create chances after chances for him, and this season he has Madison and more recently Solomon. So and Spurs seems like they'll play attacking regardless of their opponent. So I think Son will get a lot of chances if he plays centrally. So it's something that we can think about. I'm thinking about doing it, but not sure which game week I'll do it. Maybe I'll wait for after the Arsenal and Liverpool game and see how he does.
Makes sense. I mean, if you have Madison, I think you can just it's not a like must transfer, so you can survive. That's what I feel. And let's move to the next one. That's with Guardiola benched in last game week. Who was the most secure City defender? I think let's answer the next couple of questions in a very quick manner. I think the answer would be Ruben Diaz. That's it.
Agreed.
Okay. Personally, I bought Guardiola last game week. Without seeing that some of the predictions that saying he won't start. So, I'm not sure if he'll start this game week. So I think City spent a lot of money on him. So he won't be on the bench all the games. So he'll be quite spread out. But so far, surprisingly, the most nailed City defender this season is not Akanji, it's not Diaz, but it's actually Kyle Walker at the right hand side, because he actually started all 4 games and played all 90 minutes of it. Whether he can sustain, we don't know, because they have sold Cancelo, so he has one competitor less for the right back position. And then right now, maybe his direct competition is Luis. Which won't start a lot of games, so yeah, it's interesting to see whether Walker can nail down the right back position, or whether Guardiola will change the formation again, and uh, he'll be on the sub bench again. So for now, yeah, for now, as you all say, Diaz is the most nailed defender. So, but he costs quite a lot, so it'll be an interesting consideration whether we want to bring him in or not.
Okay, let's go to the next one. That's following the Sancho and Anthony incidents. Should we be considering offloading other Man United assets? I leave this question up to you guys, then I'll answer it last.
Okay, I have Rashford right now. So obviously I started the season with Shaw, Bruno, and Rashford, and I've sold Bruno and Shaw since one due to injury and one due to don't know why. So for me, I'll keep Rashford because I think he's since he shifted to the left wing position, he has been thriving so far. Um, so yeah, I won't consider bringing in other Man United assets, but we have to see because I'm not really sure who will be playing where, whether Bruno will be moving on to the a more attacking position or not. I think Aditya can answer that better later.
Uh,
Sankalp.
I have sold both of mine, Rashford as well as Bruno. I don't think uh, it's as standout as last season, right? With respect to Rashford being the prominent goal scorer for United. At the same time, I feel like Arsenal United attack is taking time to settle in, and then you have added a new flavor now, right? We have Holland coming in, and we don't know what exactly he does. A lot of people are speculating that he's going to the main man, the big man, and he's going to deflect balls to Rashford for him to carry and score. We don't know that. Right? It might happen, it might not happen. It depends purely on the coaching choice. So today, if you ask me who's the United player to get, I don't know that. Who's the United player to sell? If you have Rashford, ideally you hold on to him, right? If you have Bruno, ideally you hold on to him. But I do think if if today I'm not as convinced about Sun, but if you are as a FPL manager and you want to bring in Sun for Rashford, I will not say no because I feel it's more or less similar, but the Spurs attack looks far more gelled than United attack does. Right, that's where I stand today.
Yeah, that's a very unacceptable statement that we have to agree because it's Ten Hag's second season and we cannot be outplayed by Spurs who are just playing few games under Ange Postecoglou. So it's unacceptable for us. But I mean, as you rightly said, as you both of you rightly said, that if you have Rashford and Bruno, holding is the better option. If you want to sell, you sell off selling at your own risk. But I would say Onana and all, if you have just shipped them out, there's no point. We are not going to keep clean sheets. We are not looking at good streak. I have Onana and I'm thinking, do I waste my one transfer this week to ship out a goalkeeper? I think I may not. I may just bite the bullet and wait and see next week. So that's the thing. And yeah, I think I don't think Bruno will play on the right. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think tomorrow we'll get more updates uh, properly. I don't know whether there's a press conference or not, or some embargoed quotes and all might start coming in later. So we'll have a better idea. But yeah, don't sell United assets. We have if you're not convinced, you can do it. But if you don't have United assets, like in your case, Uncle, I will wait and look at Rasmus Højlund because he might be the 7 million striker that people will go for from maybe Jackson. Let's say just throwing up
Yeah,
in a course of 2 to 3 weeks. We never know.
yeah.
So
I'm
again,
open to it. I'm open to it. I don't have any players, and I feel more comfortable because I can get anyone. I feel that's a better situation to be in.
yes. Yeah, so that's the answer for that. Next, I'll go to Leo. Quickly, Leo, answer this question. I think both of us will sit out because we have no idea. So we'll leave it up to you. With Newcastle's fixtures improving, is it finally the right time to invest? If so, who should we target?
Okay, so I'll just start by answering Brandon's question earlier. So his question is, do you think Shah and Wilson's game time in the next three game week is nailed? So for Shah, okay, we look at our central defense. So we don't really reinforce our central defender this season by signing someone. So we have currently have two right-footed centre back and two left-footed centre back, and we know that Howe likes to play with one right-footed and one left-footed centre back. So currently we have Shah and Lascelles as our right-footed centre back, and also at left-footed centre back we have Botman, which is currently injured, and also we have Burn, which is converted into centre back the last game from his left back position. So Shan, we have to play him in Premier League and also in the Champions League, even though he seems he has carrying some ego, he has some he looks tired in some games, but he's quite nailed in terms of minutes for the big games. Uh, Wilson, I'm quite not really convinced that he will get many minutes. I think he will continue to share the minutes in the central forward position with Isak, as we can see Eddie Howe don't really favor the double striker um, formation that he played towards the end of last season, because we have reinforced on the left wing position. So I don't think it's a good suggestion to get Wilson or Isaac right now, until we can see the trend on how he plans to rotate this season. Whether he want to play Isaac in the Champions League or he want to play Wilson in Premier League, we don't know for now. Like Sun Cup said just now. So who are the players that we should get for Newcastle if we want to get any? So we look at first we look at Newcastle's fixtures. So we'll go to the fixtures page, right, for Aditya. Okay, so Newcastle, we have Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Wolves. So we have six good game weeks that we can really do well before we face Arsenal in game week 11, and after that we have Bournemouth before we face Chelsea and Man United. So these six game week, I think, is a good. Good game weeks for us to bounce back, especially the international break that came at the right time as well. So we look at who are the Newcastle players that we want to pick. So as I mentioned in the wildcard just now, if Botman is fine, he's the cheapest defender that we can get in the so-called top six, top seven strong teams. And the only thing I'm worried about getting Botman is we lack of clean sheets, and Botman lacks of the attacking potential. So we only have around two clean sheets in the past 20 plus matches. So this is something concerning if you want to get Botman. And for Pope, I think he's a good keeper to get, but with the lack of clean sheets, I think he's too pricey for a goalkeeper with 5.5 million. I think we can spend it on other cheaper goalkeepers. And also, um, for me, if I have to pick one, I'll go Trippier. Again, Trippier, despite his high price for now, I think we can still afford him with us not going the Salah way, and also there are so many cheap options. I think we can afford Trippier. And despite him not really returning in the first four game weeks, I think if you look at his underlying stats, he's still the top performer of the team. He has the highest number of touches in opponent's half in the final third. He has the most number of successful crosses so far. He has created the most chances so far, which is we don't really converted these chances, but he has been creating these chances. He has made the most interceptions and recoveries, so those are good for bonus points. And there are some speculations at preseason that the arrival of Tonali will actually take some set pieces away from him, and it hasn't happened so far. He has taken all corners and all free kicks except for one, which Gordon has taken. And minutes wise, I think a lot of people I've seen on Twitter, they are concerned that with Champions League games coming up, he might be rotated, because as we know, he's already 32 years old right now. But for me, yeah, there are some people also will say that he'll be shifted to the left hand side, like what Southgate did to him in England, or maybe to play the inverted position. For me, I don't think Eddie Howe will do that. I think his best position is still at the right back position, just pumping in all the crosses. And I think he's quite nailed in the Premier League and Champions League games for now. He don't really show signs of fatigue. I think he's he looks quite strong. He started all the games last season, and I don't think it'll be any difference this season. So even though we have more games in the Champions League, I think he's quite new in the Premier League. So if you have extra money, I think it's not a bad option to invest on Trippier right now. Yeah, so that's my not so short analysis for for Newcastle.
Okay, then. So we'll go on to the next one. That's I think the next three questions. I think we kind of answered it, but we'll just go very quickly. What's the best course of action with Jackson? I think holding.
Yeah, I think the coming fixtures are a bit more compatible with Chelsea attack than the fixtures which went past. Right, people were very gung ho about Nottingham Forest at home. I was not sure why, because I think Forest have shown against United, against Arsenal, that they are tricky to face at home. Right, the upcoming fixtures are fixtures where they'll get a bit more space. We have seen that Jackson is the guy who's going to get the chances, get the opportunities. Whether he converts it or not is something we have to see. Right? So he will continue to be the guy who will get opportunities in the coming 3 or 4 weeks. And if he still underperforms his XG, then it makes completely good sense to just sell him out and find the next best guy. And we might know who's the new Newcastle forward is by then, and it might make for a easier, safer transition.
Yeah. In my opinion, actually, people over magnify that big miss that they had the last game week. I think every strikers have some big miss, even though even Haaland missed these chances once in a while as well. So as you say just now, he has the chances. He actually has the most amount of big chances, same as Haaland so far. So if he get the chances, I think eventually he'll score. He's not a bad striker. So for me, it's a wait and see. Maybe until the good fixtures are over, I won't be selling Jackson.
Same here, same here. Patience again. You're getting a player from Chelsea, so I think you're kind of disappointed. I have him since game week one, and it's been a nightmare. So I'm just looking forward to the next few weeks, wherein at least he finally manages to get few returns. I think that should be good enough. Okay, next question is going straight to Sankar. That is retailing Martinelli for the Everton fixture justifiable given the strong performances of cheaper midfield options? And there's one more question regarding Martinelli. That should I sell Martinelli for Bruno?
No. Over the next 4 5 weeks, I feel they have fairly comparable ceiling, and that's why I'm not pretty sure. It's a curious case of Martinelli, something that we had spoken in our preseason pod that we have to see how Havertz impacts Martinelli. I People are going to talk about Eddie, but I feel more than Eddie, it's been Kai Havertz who has impacted that entire post position. But it's not about the quality of players. It's just two players who are not settling in. At the same time, I feel Martinelli has got chances, got opportunities. He's just not converted. Not clear cut opportunities, but a lot of 50-50s, which last season he was converting, right? So I'm going to see out the Everton match. We also are expecting Gabriel Jesus to start. People really like Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli combo. So I just want to see it out. Uh, it makes sense to move him out. For example, if you don't have someone like Mbuemo, will you do it? Why not, right? So there are players who are playing for settled squads. For example, if you don't have Madison, will you do it for Martinelli? I would do it. But at the same time, I also feel that there is a haul coming in, and we might be just selling him, before that haul. I have Martinelli in my team alongside Saka, and I'm still kept him because people are saying United fixtures are better than Arsenal. I feel them more or less similar in nature. I don't think over the next five either have a really strong demarcation. Right? So it's up to you if you're more comfortable with Bruno, play Bruno. If you're more comfortable with Martinelli, play Martinelli. But at the same time, I don't think I'll sell Martinelli to go to Bruno because I don't think I've seen enough from Bruno as well.
Yeah, I have Martinelli as well. So I will be keeping him against Everton because I think he can do something despite the bad record against Everton. So we'll see after the game what we'll do with Martinelli. But as Sankam said, even according to the stats, actually compared to last season, in average per game, actually Martinelli have more shots on goals, and also he has more touches in the penalty box. Just that in terms of big chances, he has reduced significantly. So we are not really sure why. But then he has the shots. He just struggled to get into good chances and struggling to convert them. So we'll see whether that change in the next few games.
Yes, I agree. Like obviously, he plays for Arsenal, good fixtures. Obviously, you're going to kind of bank more on that, right? So obviously, but on the other hand, you will also lose returns from other players like MVM, right? More or less, there are stubborn managers like me who have not got him. So,
Yeah, yeah.
anyways, let's go on to the last question. I think we did answer it. Just go with just briefly touch upon it. That's regarding goalkeeper rotation. Should we consider selling Turner and Johnston?
Eventually, yeah, but I'm not convinced using my transfers on it. I would ideally time my wildcard and use that and hope that by then Turner is still the guy starting or Johnston. One of the two are starting. If at any point of time suddenly you get a news that both your goalkeepers are not supposed to start, that's the reason I would, really push that. But till then, I'm going to just keep hoping that one of these two starts.
Yeah, that's the situation I'm currently in. So I have both Turner and Johnson, which is bad news for me. And I just saw a tweet that regarding Turner's wife is due to deliver a baby. I think this game week or next game week. So we're not sure if it's an excuse for him to miss the next game. So for me, they have better options. Eventually, I think Turner will lose his place. Not sure about Johnson because last week, Roy actually came out and say that Johnson will keep his place for that game. So we'll have to wait for the press conference to see if he does that again or he says it surely that Henderson will start ahead of Johnson. So for now, I'm not doing a goalkeeper transfer. I'm gambling on one of them will start, and I don't think it's the game week that we should do Turner into the like for like replacement in Ariola because Ariola is facing Man City. I'm not sure if you do the transfer, Ariola will return 1 or 2 points more than Turner if he don't start. So it's not a transfer that worth risking this game week. Maybe in the future, yes, but not now for me.
Yes, I'm not going to like discuss more on it because I fairly agree with what both of you have said. It's kind of waste to like use a transfer on keepers unless both of them have lost their place. So that's when you will have to maybe ship out one and then ship out the other during wildcard. Yeah, makes sense. So let's go on to captaincy very quickly and then we'll go on to our past teams. And obviously, choice that's option one. It's again Erling Haaland.
Uh, okay. For me, if I have Son or Madison, I would consider captaining them ahead of Haaland. But unfortunately, I don't have either. So my captain this game it will be Haaland. And another interesting option is I think it's no one would have considered him, but I'm considering captaining Rashford. He's at home. Man United have good home record, and he's facing against Brighton, which is defensively very poor so far. So he has returned the past 2 games, and I expect him to return again against Brighton. So for now, my captaincy is on Haaland, and I don't think I'll change my mind unless something drastic happens till the deadline.
I'm on medicine at the moment, and I think I'm going to go for it.
Good luck. Yeah, I'm sticking with Haaland. Yeah, boring. Lesson I learned in game week one. So I'm not going to do that. I think that's still haunting me. So that's the reason. Yeah, I think that's my option. Yeah, United. I am very happy that Leon is more optimistic than me. So that's how we are, right? Anyways, so these are the few options. Last week we did I think we did mention Julian Alvarez, Darwin Nunes, and all in our list. So those who actually had a look at it and actually went for those moves actually got few returns. But anyways, Haaland and Son were the people who got hat tricks. So vast majority of managers would have got those double digit haul from Haaland itself. Anyways, I think we're done with captaincy. Let's look at our past teams and wrap up this stream. So this is Leon's team.
Yep. So right now my current situation is like I said just now, I have Turner and Johnson. So I'm starting Turner, of course, because they have good fixtures at home against Burnley. So currently not touching my goalkeepers and defender. Of course, I will start three again. Saliba, Vardio. I'm not sure he will start again, but I'll start him and also Estupinian. And I'll bench Colville and Bayer for this game week. It's a tough bench because if Guardian don't start, I don't think he'll be brought on. So Colville will come in for me. And in terms of midfield, I have Saka and Martinelli. For Arsenal, I have Diaz, I have Rashford, and I have Foden. So my vice captain is on Rashford, and striker is Haaland and Jackson. Keeping my faith in Jackson, not transferring out, and my captain is on Haaland. So far, the only transfer I'm considering is if the press conference clearly saying that Turner and Johnson won't play. So I'll definitely I will sell because I don't have any money in the bank. I have around 0.3 million, so I cannot convert Turner into better keepers other than Ariola. So I won't do the Ariola transfer, so I will sell Johnson instead if I have to. And other than that, I think the team is quite solid, and I will stick with it for another game week and see what happens. Yeah, so next.
Yeah, so this is my team. Turner at the back, Estupinian, Chilwell, and Cass at the back. I missed out on a Cass mega haul. I am hoping to get one this week. Mbuemo, Martinelli, Saka, Madison, Foden, and Haaland and Isaac, at the front. Madison is my current captain, and Saka is the vice captain.
Okay, let's go on. Last but not least, my boring team. And 109 goal. 109 Chilwell, Saliba, and Udogi. Foden, Diaz, Rashford, Saka, Madison, Haaland, and Jackson. Yeah, I benched Estupinian. It's a coin toss between Estupinian and Saliba. So, I don't know.
I would play Estupinian over Saliba. I mean, you don't lose out a lot because Saliba is going to give you at max just 6 points, right? With S2, you always have that higher ceiling. Right? But neither of you thinking of captaining, say, Louis Diaz against Wolves. Wolves have not looked great as well.
Yeah, my concern about Diaz is his minutes because since I think the past three games he has not finished the game. He's sub out around 60, 70 minutes. And they tend to focus the attack. If I observe based on eye test, they tend to focus the attack more on the right hand side with Salah. And if Nunes played, then I think Diaz become even a lesser threat. If you look at the last game, and also for the Saliba and Estupinian choice, again, like what we debated last week, I think for this week I will start Saliba because I'm quite confident that Arsenal can keep a clean sheet this time against Everton. And if they manage to keep a clean sheet with a narrow win, then Saliba might get some bonus points. So for me, I'll start Saliba over Estupinian because I think Brighton will definitely concede.
Definitely.
And that's more or less the same reason. That's why I've gone with this. But yeah, I mean, his uncle proved he's an Arsenal fan, so that's why when he is like, don't start, we will concede. Anyways, I think we are done with this stream, right? This is the fixture ticker, so we're just going back to the first leg. So we're done with this episode 17. We discussed, I mean, wildcard a little bit, our teams, our thoughts on the dilemmas, looking at the transfers, ins and outs, and we answered a few of questions here and there. I think do drop us a follow on Twitter, like, subscribe here on YouTube, like this video, and to rate us on the audio platforms. We'll be back next week for Game Week 6 preview. Before that, we will be having a Game Week 5 deadline stream on Saturday before the deadline. I think that will have much more updated content because we'll have more information post press conferences and once the players they start training. The official training sessions have begun, but we'll have more information, over the next few days. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.